My husband told me to stop chasing him and said he regretted lowering himself to marry me. So I stopped everything, stopped trying, stopped caring, stopped being his wife in every way that mattered. 2 weeks later, he showed up at my office begging me to come back. I, 29F, have been married to my husband Marcus, 34M, for 4 years. When we met, I thought I'd found my person. He was charming, successful, ambitious, a senior financial analyst at a major investment firm. I was a graphic designer at a small agency, passionate about my work, but definitely not making his kind of money. For the first 2 years, things were good. Really good. He seemed to love my creativity, my optimism, the way I saw the world differently than his numbers-driven colleagues. He'd bring me to company events and introduce me proudly. He'd ask about my projects and seemed genuinely interested. We'd spend weekends exploring the city, trying new restaurants, talking for hours. Then he got promoted to director. The change was gradual at first. Longer hours at the office. More stress. More networking events where I was expected to dress appropriately and make good impressions. He started making comments about my career being nice but not serious. He'd correct the way I spoke to his colleagues, saying I was too casual or not professional enough. I tried to be understanding. New job, new pressure. It made sense he was stressed. I picked up more at home, cooking, cleaning, managing everything so he could focus on work. I dressed how he wanted for his events. I smiled and made small talk with people who barely acknowledged I existed. But it kept getting worse. 6 months ago, things really shifted. He started comparing me to his colleagues' wives. Did you see what Amanda was wearing? That's what a director's wife should look like. James's wife just got promoted to VP at her company. What are you doing with your career? Everyone at work has a spouse who contributes meaningfully. I'm starting to feel like I'm the only one carrying our household. I was contributing. I was making decent money for a creative professional, handling all our household management, supporting his career. But to him, if I wasn't pulling in 6 figures or climbing some corporate ladder, I wasn't contributing meaningfully. The criticism became constant. My clothes were wrong. My conversation topics were boring. My friends were not the kind of people we should associate with. My job was cute but not impressive. Even my hobbies, I paint in my spare time, were childish and not befitting someone at our level. Our level.
Like we were royalty or something.
Sex became transactional. He'd initiate when he wanted, but if I tried to be intimate, he'd say he was too tired or too stressed. Affection disappeared entirely. No more casual touches, kisses goodbye, or hand-holding. I felt like his employee, not his wife.
I tried talking to him about it.
Multiple times. He'd say I was being overly sensitive or making problems where there weren't any. He'd tell me he was just trying to help me reach my potential, and if I was offended by constructive criticism, that was my problem. 3 weeks ago, everything came to a head. I'd had a really good day at work. I'd landed a major client, a campaign that would not only pay well, but get serious visibility for my agency. I was so excited to tell Marcus. For once, I had something impressive to share, something that might make him proud of me. He came home at 9 p.m. I'd made his favorite dinner and waited, even though I was starving. You'll never guess what happened today, I said as he walked in. He didn't even look up from his phone. What? I landed the Brennan account. It's huge, Marcus. This could really... That's nice. I need to shower and prep for tomorrow's meeting. Wait, don't you want to hear about it? This is a really big deal for... He finally looked at me, and the expression on his face was pure annoyance. I'm sure it's exciting for you, but I've had an exhausting day dealing with actual high-stakes situations. I don't have the energy to pretend your little design project is groundbreaking. I felt like I'd been slapped. My little design project? Marcus, this is important to me. Everything is important to you. You get excited about the smallest things. It's exhausting trying to match your enthusiasm for things that don't actually matter. My work matters. In the grand scheme of things? Not really. You make nice pictures for companies. I manage portfolios worth hundreds of millions. There's a difference. I stared at him. Why are you being so cruel? I'm not being cruel. I'm being honest. You want me to lie and tell you that your job is as important as mine? That landing one client is some massive achievement? I can't do that anymore. I'm tired of pretending. Pretending what? That you're at my level. That this marriage is a partnership of equals. The words hung in the air between us. For years of marriage, and this is what he really thought. If that's how you feel, why did you marry me? He sighed, like I was asking an annoying question. I thought you'd grow with me. I thought you had ambition. But you're still doing the same thing you were doing when we met, just happy being mediocre. You're content with a small life, and I'm not. So, what are you saying? I'm saying maybe we made a mistake. Maybe I made a mistake. I couldn't breathe. You want a divorce? I don't know. I need space to think. But I do know that I can't keep doing this. Coming home to your neediness, your constant desire for attention and validation. It's draining. I'm your wife. Wanting to spend time with you and share my life with you isn't needy. It is when I've asked for space repeatedly and you ignore it. You're always trying to engage me in conversation, always wanting to connect, always chasing me around the house trying to get me to pay attention to you. It's suffocating. Because you ignore me unless I pursue you. You barely speak to me. You don't touch me. We don't do anything together anymore. What am I supposed to do? And this is when he said it. The thing I'll never forget. He looked me dead in the eye, his face completely cold, and said, "From now on, I'll decide when we talk or spend time together. Stop chasing me. Stop acting desperate for my attention. You're my wife, not a puppy begging for scraps. Honestly, I can't believe I ever lowered myself to marry you. You'll never be anywhere near my level, and watching you try is just sad." I felt something inside me break. Not break like crying, break like something fundamental snapping into a new configuration. "Okay," I said quietly. He looked surprised that I wasn't arguing. Okay. You'll decide when we interact. I'll stop chasing you. I'll stop trying. Good. That's all I'm asking. Some space to breathe without you constantly demanding my attention. He went to shower. I sat at the dining table with his favorite dinner getting cold, and I felt absolutely nothing. The hurt was so complete it went past pain into numbness. That night, I slept in the guest room. He didn't even notice. The next morning, I woke up with perfect clarity. He wanted me to stop chasing him? Fine. I'd stop chasing him. I'd stop everything. I got up before him, got ready for work, and left without saying goodbye. I didn't make his coffee or leave out his breakfast like I usually did. I just left. At work, I threw myself into the Brennan campaign. I stayed late. I came in early. I volunteered for projects. When I came home, Marcus was usually either still at work or in his home office. I'd make dinner for myself, eat alone, clean up, and go to the guest room. Day 3, he texted me. "Are you cooking tonight?" I replied, "I made food for myself. There are leftovers in the fridge if you want them." Day 5, he actually came out of his office while I was in the kitchen. "We need to go to Thompson's dinner party on Saturday. Make sure you have something appropriate to wear." "I'm not going to that." He looked stunned. "What do you mean you're not going?" "You said you'll decide when we spend time together. You haven't decided we're spending Saturday together, so I'm not going." "That's not. It's a work obligation. You're my wife. You have to go." "No, I don't. You said I'm not at your level and that you regretted marrying me. Take someone who is at your level." "You're being ridiculous." I shrugged and went back to cooking my dinner. He stood there for a moment, then stormed back to his office. I didn't go to the party. I spent Saturday with my friends, the ones he'd said weren't the kind of people we should associate with. We got brunch, went to a gallery opening, laughed until our sides hurt. I posted pictures on social media. I looked happy. Because I was. For the first time in months, I was actually happy. Day 8, Marcus tried a different approach. He came into the guest room late at night, sat on the edge of the bed. "Hey," he said, his voice softer. "Can we talk? You'll decide when we talk, remember? Did you decide we're talking now? Don't be like this." "Like what?"
Cold. Distant.
"This isn't like you." "No, desperate and needy was like me. Chasing you around begging for attention was like me. You said to stop. So I stopped. I didn't mean, he paused. I've been under a lot of stress. I may have said things I didn't mean. Which things? That you regretted marrying me? That I'll never be at your level? That watching me try is sad? Which of those didn't you mean? He was quiet. That's what I thought. Good night, Marcus. We're married. You can't just stop being my wife. I'm still legally your wife. I'm just not playing the role anymore.
He left.
I heard him making phone calls from his office, probably to his mother or his brother, looking for someone to tell him I was wrong, and he was right. Day 10, he tried romance. Came home with flowers and a reservation at an expensive restaurant.
Get dressed.
We're going out. I was in pajamas, halfway through a bowl of pasta, watching a show I liked. No thanks. I'm good. I got us reservations at Maison. You love that place. You love that place. I think it's pretentious, and the portions are tiny. But you never asked what I liked. Fine. Where do you want to go? Nowhere. Not with you. The flowers ended up in the trash. He ate at Maison alone, apparently, because he came home 2 hours later furious. Do you know how embarrassing it was to show up alone and cancel the reservation? About as embarrassing as being told your husband regrets marrying you, I'd imagine. Day 12, his mother called me. She'd clearly heard his version of events. Marcus tells me you're being difficult. He's trying to make things right, and you're being stubborn. Did he tell you what he said to me? He said you two had an argument. Couples argue. You don't stop being a wife because your feelings got hurt. I laughed. Actually laughed. My feelings got hurt? He told me he lowered himself to marry me. He said I'll never be at his level. He said I'm mediocre and my work doesn't matter. But sure, my feelings just got hurt. Silence on the other end. He said that to you? Word for word. That doesn't sound like my Marcus. That's because your Marcus is careful about how he talks to you.
He's not careful with me.
Not anymore. She tried a few more weak defenses, then said she'd talk to him. I told her not to bother. Day 14 was when everything exploded. I was at work, in the middle of a meeting with my team and the Brennan client. We were presenting the campaign concepts, and it was going phenomenally. The client loved everything, was talking about expanding the scope, potentially giving us more of their business. My boss was beaming. I was riding high on professional validation for the first time in forever. Then the receptionist poked her head in. Emma, your husband is here. He says it's urgent. My stomach dropped. Marcus had never come to my office. Ever. He'd always said my workplace was not his scene. Tell him I'm in a meeting. I did. He said he'd wait. Tell him I'll be at least another hour and he should leave. She nodded and left. We continued the meeting. 20 minutes later, she was back, looking uncomfortable. He's insisting he needs to see you. He's getting kind of loud in the lobby. My boss looked at me with concern. Do you need to handle this?
No.
We're almost done, right? I looked at the client. The client, a woman in her 50s named Patricia, nodded. We're good. This is fantastic work, Emma. Let's move forward with option 2. We wrapped up quickly. As the client left, I heard her whisper to my boss, Is everything okay with her? I'm sure it's fine, my boss said, but he looked worried too. I walked to the lobby with my heart pounding. Marcus was there, still in his suit from work, looking completely out of place in our creative agency's casual space. My coworkers were pretending not to stare. What are you doing here? We need to talk.
Now.
I'm at work. This can't wait. I didn't want a scene. I led him to one of our small conference rooms and closed the door. What is so urgent that you had to come to my workplace and interrupt a client meeting? You've been ignoring me for 2 weeks. You told me to stop chasing you. I stopped. I didn't mean, he ran his hands through his hair, frustrated. This isn't what I wanted. Then what did you want, Marcus? Spell it out for me. I wanted you to give me space, not cut me off completely. I wanted you to stop being so needy, not stop being my wife. Those are the same thing. You don't get to have a wife who doesn't need you, doesn't talk to you, doesn't expect anything from you. That's called a roommate. You're twisting everything. I'm not twisting anything. You said exactly what you meant. You regret marrying me. You think I'm beneath you. You find my efforts to connect with you pathetic. So I stopped trying. I'm giving you exactly what you asked for. I miss you. I stared at him. You miss me? You've barely acknowledged my existence for 6 months. What exactly do you miss? I miss coming home to dinner. I miss having someone to talk to. You miss having a wife who serves you. That's different from missing me. That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair, Marcus. You don't get to spend months tearing me down, tell me I'm not good enough for you, and then show up demanding I go back to taking care of you. I never said you had to take care of me. You didn't have to. You trained me to do it by criticizing everything I did until I figured out exactly how you wanted things done. And I did it because I loved you and I wanted you to be happy. But you were never happy. Nothing I did was ever enough. I'm here, aren't I? I'm trying. You're here because you've been uncomfortable for 2 weeks. Because your mother probably told you that you screwed up. Because you had to show up to work events alone and answer questions about where your wife was. You're not here because you actually value me. You're here because you miss the services I provided. That's not true, isn't it? Tell me one thing you miss about me specifically. Not what I did for you. Not how I made your life easier. Tell me one thing about Emma that you actually miss. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. He couldn't answer. That's what I thought, I said quietly. You don't miss me. You miss the idea of having a wife. You miss the convenience. I love you. No, you don't. You might have once, but you don't anymore. And honestly, I don't think I love you either. Not anymore. He looked like I'd punched him. You don't mean that. I do. You killed whatever love I had for you when you looked me in the eye and told me you regretted marrying me. When you said I'd never be at your level. When you made me feel worthless in my own marriage. You can't come back from that, Marcus. I can't come back from that. So what? You want a divorce? I think that's the only option left. Because I said some things in anger? Because I've been stressed and took it out on you? That's not worth ending a marriage over. It's not because you said things in anger. It's because you meant them. And even if you didn't mean them in that exact moment, you've been showing me how you really feel for months. The words just made it explicit. I'll change. I'll do better. Just come home. We can work on this. I am home. I've been sleeping in the guest room for 2 weeks, and you barely noticed. That tells me everything I need to know. I noticed. I just thought you needed space, so I gave it to you. No, you appreciated the space. You liked not having to deal with me. Admit it. He was quiet. I want a divorce, I said. I'll contact a lawyer. We can do this amicably or not, your choice. But I'm done. Just like that? You're giving up on 4 years of marriage. You gave up months ago. I'm just finally accepting it. I walked out of the conference room. Marcus followed me into the lobby, his voice rising. So you're just going to throw everything away? I came here to fight for us and you won't even try. Everyone in the office was definitely staring now. My boss had stepped out of his office, looking concerned. You came here because you're not getting what you want, I said, keeping my voice level. That's not the same as fighting for us. And I have nothing left to give you. I'm empty, Marcus. You emptied me. Emma, please leave. This is my workplace. You're making a scene. I don't care. I'm not losing my wife because I made some mistakes. My boss stepped forward. Sir, you need to leave.
Now.
Or I'm calling security. Marcus looked at him, then at me, then at all my coworkers watching. His face flushed red from anger or embarrassment, I couldn't tell.
Fine.
But this conversation isn't over. Yes, it is. He left. The office was silent. I stood there, shaking, trying to hold it together. My boss touched my arm gently. Take the rest of the day. Go home. We'll handle everything here. I'm fine. I can.
Emma, take the day.
Take care of yourself. I nodded, grabbed my things, and left. But I didn't go home. I went to my best friend Sarah's apartment. She took one look at my face and pulled me inside. What happened? I told her everything. Everything from the past 6 months, the cruel things Marcus had said, the 2 weeks of silence, him showing up at my office. Holy shit, she said when I finished. Emma, why didn't you tell me it was this bad? Because saying it out loud would make it real. And I kept thinking if I just tried harder, if I was better, he'd go back to how he used to be. He was never going to go back. People like that don't change. They just show you who they really are once they think they have you locked down. I wasted 4 years. You didn't waste them. You learned. You learned your worth. You learned that you'd rather be alone than be with someone who makes you feel small. She was right. And sitting there in her apartment, not at the home I shared with Marcus, I felt it fully. I didn't want to go back. Not to the house, not to the marriage, not to the person I'd become trying to please him. I spent the night at Sarah's. Marcus called 17 times. Texted 32 times. I blocked him. The next morning, I went back to the house while Marcus was at work. I packed everything I needed: clothes, toiletries, my art supplies, important documents. I left my ring on the kitchen counter with a note. Contact my lawyer. His info is below. I'd already reached out to a divorce attorney Sarah had recommended. We had a consultation scheduled for that afternoon. I moved into a short-term rental. A studio apartment, small and simple and mine. I set up my easel by the window. I could breathe again. Marcus tried everything. He sent flowers to my office. I donated them to the hospital. He sent long emails about how he'd made a mistake and wanted to work on us. I forwarded them to my lawyer. He showed up at Sarah's apartment. She threatened to call the cops. He even tried to get my parents involved. They told him they supported whatever I decided, and they'd be having words with him about how he treated their daughter. The divorce proceedings started. Marcus fought it at first, tried to claim we should go to counseling, that I was being rash. But my lawyer was excellent, and we had documentation, including some texts where Marcus had said particularly cruel things that I'd screenshot and forgotten about. When confronted with his own words in black and white, Marcus finally stopped fighting. The divorce was finalized 3 months later. I got to keep what I'd brought into the marriage, plus half of what we'd accumulated together. I didn't ask for alimony. I didn't want to be tied to him financially. I just wanted out. Now, 6 months after that conversation in my office, I'm rebuilding my life. I got a promotion at work. I'm now senior creative director, heading up major campaigns. The Brennan account I was so excited about? It led to 3 more major clients. My boss told me I've been on fire since my personal life settled down. I've reconnected with friends I'd drifted from. I'm painting again, actually painting, not just dabbling. I have a small show coming up at a local gallery. My work is vibrant and angry and beautiful, and it's mine. I'm dating someone new. Nothing serious yet, but he's kind. He asks about my day, and actually listens. He thinks my job is cool. He came to see my paintings and spent an hour asking me about my process and what inspired each piece. He introduces me to people as Emma. She's an incredibly talented designer and artist. When I told him about my ex-husband, he said, "He was intimidated by you. Small men always are." I think he might be right. Marcus has tried to contact me a few times. An email on what would have been our 5th anniversary. A text on my birthday. A LinkedIn message, seriously, asking if we could meet for coffee to catch up. I've ignored them all. There's nothing to catch up on. That version of me, the one who bent herself into shapes to please him, who accepted crumbs of affection, who believed she wasn't enough, she doesn't exist anymore. He broke her. And from her pieces, I built someone new. Someone stronger. Someone who knows her worth and won't accept less than she deserves. So, yeah. He showed up wanting back the woman he thought he'd broken. But joke's on him, she's gone. And the woman who replaced her? She'd never take him back in a million years. Edit. Wow, this blew up. Reading all your comments and messages. A few people have asked for more details, so here's some updates. About the divorce settlement. Some people asked why I didn't go for more. Honestly, I wanted it over fast. Every day tied to him legally was another day I couldn't fully move on. I made sure I got what was fair, but I didn't drag it out. My peace of mind was worth more than fighting over every asset. About his behavior after. Marcus apparently had a hard time after the divorce. According to mutual acquaintances, we don't have many but a few, he was shocked that I actually went through with it. He genuinely believed I'd come crawling back. When I didn't, he went through a phase of trying to upgrade, dating women who were more conventionally successful, more polished, more at his level. From what I heard, none of those relationships lasted more than a few weeks. Turns out when you date people who actually have options and self-respect, they don't put up with your bullshit. About my workplace, my boss has been incredible. After the scene Marcus made, he pulled me aside and told me that if I ever felt unsafe or if my ex tried to show up again, I should let him know immediately. He also made a point of publicly praising my work in meetings, which helped counter any gossip about my dramatic personal life. The Brennan campaign won an industry award and I got to accept it on behalf of the team. It was one of the best moments of my career. About my art, the gallery show I mentioned? It sold out. Every piece. I honestly thought maybe a few friends would buy something to be supportive, but strangers were buying my work. One piece sold for $3,000. I cried in the bathroom. My new boyfriend, yeah, we made it official. Brought champagne and told everyone at the opening that I was brilliant. It was such a contrast to how Marcus would have handled it, if he'd even shown up. About my family, my parents admitted they never really liked Marcus, but didn't say anything, because I seemed happy. After the divorce, my dad told me, "I always thought he looked at you like you were lucky to have him, not like he was lucky to have you." I should have said something. Better late than never, I guess. They love that I'm painting again and have started commissioning pieces from me for their friends. The most common question, do I regret the marriage? Honestly, sometimes. I regret the time I wasted trying to be someone I wasn't. I regret how small I made myself. But I don't regret leaving. That took courage I didn't know I had. And I don't regret what I learned about myself.
I know my boundaries now.
I know my worth. I know I'd rather be alone than be with someone who diminishes me. Someone in the comments said, "You didn't lose your husband. You lost your bully and found yourself." That really resonated with me.